Welcome back to the Fulfilled Female Entrepreneur Podcast. It's your host, Cassandra Rosa, and the mission behind this podcast is to help you to create a fulfilling life and business. I'm so excited to have Jateya on today, and we're just going to talk about being a multi-passionate entrepreneur and really being a lighthouse for the impact that you want to make in the world. I want to first and foremost thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm so excited to learn more about your story and hear all your wisdom today.
No, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, definitely.
Yes. Do you want to take a few moments to introduce yourself to the listeners?
Definitely. So I'm Jateya Jones of Jateya Jones Consulting, and I am the quintessential multi-passionate. I tell people I'm a certified nail tech, a certified bartender, have a background in public health, technical communication, creative design. I've done it all because I've been the one to try to find the passion that lit me up and made enough financial stability so that I could do the thing that I love and make money doing it. And on my journey, what I realized is that I didn't have to choose a specific passion. I didn't have to be all over the place. And when I started this journey, I was looking for structure because I'm all about efficiency, ease, and excellence. And most people out there are just saying it was okay to be a multi-passionate. And I was like, duh. And so I've basically taken my life experience and created structure around that so that multi-passionate can literally align their passions, their purpose, and their profession and thrive personally and professionally and build their business around life and not the other way around because we should not work to live, but live just to live. And so that is who I am and what I do and why I do it. And I'm here just to help all the multi passionates around the world come together and collectively make the world a better place.
I love that. I love how you're talking about this whole experience of living life and putting your business into your life versus having your whole life run around your business, your career. I think that message is to be added a few more exclamation marks after that one. I think it's really important for people to remember that, right? Because the way that society is set up, the ABCs of success, if you will, is set up, your whole life runs around what it is that you do for a living. So I love that you touch upon that in so many different methodologies that you have to share that. But I always love to ask all of my guests what fulfillment means to you.
Fulfillment means freedom to be in all aspects of life. Whenever I am free to be and I am not censoring myself, I find fulfillment, whether that's in my job and I'm free to bring all of myself, my gifts, my talents, my humor, because I think I'm funny, to the table. Like that provides fulfillment. Um, Mainly because I feel like I've been in a box or I chose to be in the box. Um, of the playbook of life for acceptance from family, friends, all the things. And I've censored myself for so long that I met achievement. You know, I did the thing on the job, I got the promotion, I went to school, all the things that they tell you you're supposed to do in life to be successful. And so I have the achievement, but I was lacking fulfillment. And I found that fulfillment came when I was free to just be.
I love that. I love that, the essence and the energy that you exude when you're sharing about that freedom. And I really love how you touch on this concept of censorship, right? Censoring parts of yourself in specific situations. I've recorded almost 100 episodes now, and I've never heard that definition. That's why I love to ask this
Mm.
question. And I think it's interesting because we are very multidimensional beings, have lots of different passions, have lots of gifts, right? So it's interesting. We were talking a little bit about your story before we jumped on and recorded. It was very interesting to hear about all the different experiences that you've had and all the different passions that you have exuded along the journey. So do you want to talk a little bit about your experience and your story when it comes to being someone that's very multi-passionate and trying to break outside of the mold of what society thinks you should do in terms of having the one thing experience?
So we can take it all the way back to childhood. I feel like most multi-passionates tend to be empaths. We tend to be people pleasers. And we are conditioned to not listen to our gut or our intuition. And we are always high achievers and we always want to get it right. And so a lot of us then tend to suffer from anxiety or just stress or burnout because we're overthinking, over processing. I have to make the right choice. I have to make the right answer. This person is dependent on me, that person, I don't want to let them down. And it's um, focused on everyone else but ourselves. And we become stuck on this hamster wheel of, I knew I shouldn't have I knew I shouldn't have done this because we were trying to please everyone else and not listen to ourselves. And so we begin to doubt our own selves and then shrink our own light because we are superheroes, as I tend to say. Um, and we don't really know how to harness our powers initially. And if we listen to everyone else, it causes us to just want to hide that we have superpowers in general. And so, with that being said, my experience was just that. And so, I wanted to make everybody proud, and I'm a high achiever and I have to get it right. And as I call myself now, I'm a recovering perfectionist. And so, I would dim myself to make other people around me feel comfortable. Because as I say, our simple is someone else's significant. And so for what was so easy for me was difficult for so many other people. And so I would dumb things down so that they didn't feel some type of way for not being on my level, right? And for many, many years that caused me to just sacrifice parts of me, especially when I got to corporate, right? And I'm one of the youngest people in the building, and I look a lot younger than I already am. And so to not make the adults feel some type of way so I can have a great day at work, it became a coping mechanism to go by the playbook of life and things that didn't make sense to me just go along with it, right? But then there was an inner part of me that was dying, and I was like, I cannot take this. It was nagging me to continue to do something different, to build something different. And so I always had the side hustles. I was an employeepreneur because I still had to fulfill the passion outside of what society said was the race for success, right? And so that sums up a lot of my clients. The more and more I work with them and talk to them, they get to a point where the money's not enough or it's not enough money to sacrifice self anymore. And they're like, I need to figure out which passion is going to make me the most money because I still have to live and sustain. And I'm like, well, honestly, your focus is in the wrong place because their answer is it's not one of your passions, it's your purpose. And you have to start with you. And when you, for years or decades in my case, have censored who you are, you lose yourself. You don't trust yourself. You think that anything self thinks and wants and does is wrong. And they must be doing something right, so I should do it this way. And so a lot of times we fight the thing. I have clients that seriously get upset with me when they find out what I call their common thread, the thread that ties together your passions, your purpose, and your profession. And they're like, that's not it. That's too easy. I can't make money doing that thing because it's easy for them. And so once I found out that my common thread was what most people call clarity, I say it's just a strategy. I help you create your plan to win. And that's my gift is making it easy to connect the dots in any and everything that I do, whether that's life or career wise. Um, I just proceeded to fall into that more and force myself to do the uncomfortable. I tell people don't get comfortable with being uncomfortable, even though that's what coaches are saying. And it's going viral these days. I don't want you to get comfortable there because it's the same thing as being on the hamster wheel of doubting yourself. But I want you to get excited about being uncomfortable because that means something big in your next is coming. And so once you get in that posture of unlearning to relearn from what you've been conditioned to think and do and be, and just accept that your way is the right way. It's just different. And that there's others of you out there, so you're not alone. They just may not be in your area code or zip code. it frees you to truly harness your superpower and make the world a better place.
I love that. I think a lot of people that are listening can
Alert from no
resonate
backups for
with your story.
770 days.
They can resonate with the whole concept of being in a career and feeling like they need almost like a passion project or a side hustle
Mhm.
to be able to fulfill them in some sort of way. And I can think about times in my journey when it was the same, working, a sales job and then feeling this pull to step into coaching, and it's starting as a side hustle and a passion project and then evolving into something full time, which is so beautiful. So, do you want to
Mhm.
speak to a little bit more about your experience when it came to working that like corporate career and then starting to unveil all of these different passions that you had and what your experience was in that moment, seeing them all unfold?
Ooh, so I always describe my corporate job as working in a mix between a daycare and a zoo. There was a whole bunch of people tattletelling and other people just slinging food. And I'm sitting here like, y'all know I'm the youngest person. Does anybody else see this? Does anybody else really think this is normal, right? And because it took me 2 seconds to do what my colleagues took 2 years to do, I had a lot of downtime because I quickly also found out that when I would do my work and turn it in, then all of a sudden it was like, well, Jatia doesn't have anything to do. Well, not she doesn't have anything to do. She's not doing anything when I had
Hmm.
completed all of my work. And so the office politics became a thing. And so I learned how to navigate those and it, be able to manage my time better to be able to explore what does it look like to explore these passions. And so I started off coaching, like you said, as a passion project. And then for me, I enrolled in a program and I'm just my regular inquisitive self. And she's like, so you don't do, because I was doing coaching, network coaching for introverts and students. And she was like, no, you're clarity. And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here just to scale and grow this one business. And so to make a long story short, she hired me as her coach within her program. And then I became coach in other programs. And I just love to compound the impact that they were having with their clients. And then my father got sick. And so I went on FMLA from the corporate job, and they proceeded to do some very illegal matters that frankly just ticked me off. And I was like, forget y'all, forget this job, forget everything else, because none of that really matters in the grand scheme of what was going on in everyday life. And so I quit. And that's when I went full time into the coaching thing. And I was like, it's all or nothing now. This has been your alley oop to slam dunk, what you've been wanting to do forever, and step outside of that box of everybody else's expectations and choose you. Um, and so it was, I was blessed to be able to have the job that I could manage both things, or I could leverage my downtime to really hone in and dive in to develop the thing, and then have the time while on FMLA to really go deeper and ask myself all those questions and revisit diaries like, where were you then? How do we speak to the person then? I want to help them not do what I did and excel sooner, quicker, faster. And so um, I also call it just like the divine timeline. Everything lined up so much so that it's too much of a coincidence to be a coincidence, that gave me that
Yeah.
space and grace to create the thing that got us here today.
I love that. I align with that in my story too, like the divine timing, how all these pieces fell together to have the masterpiece and the purpose in which that we have now, which is so beautiful. So do you find within your own story and your own clients that you had a moment in which you felt like you had to choose one of your passions and kind of feel the pressures of societies of choosing one lane versus all the different paths? Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
In the past, I had, not per se when it came to coaching. By the time I came around to coaching, um, I was tired. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And what I realized is that when I tried to choose one and force myself down a lane, I quickly reached burnout and I wanted to give up and quit. The thing wasn't working. Like, it wasn't making enough money fast enough. or I wasn't speaking the language of the client. I wasn't clear, you know? And so the focus was solely on boxing myself in, which diminished my superhero power. So I really wasn't showing up in the light that I know I could. I really wasn't connecting the dots or clear. And so many of the times that I chose one thing to focus on, it was fun for a certain period of time. It was a very expensive hobby, as I call it, right? Because that's what businesses become when you don't function them as businesses. Um, and it didn't work. It just didn't work. So by the time I got to coaching, I was like, there has to be, I'm a nerd at heart, right? So I was like, I had my hypothesis, and then I was like, okay, we got to test this theory. And like, what is your methodology? And how can you rinse and repeat this? So, what are the different approaches that people could take? And I started to really look at me as this science project, right? So, like, what is the thing and what does it look like for me to not have to choose? What does it look like for me to have it all? Because most multi-passionates, we go for it all and we truly believe we can have it all. But then life kicked us in the teeth because that's not how it's set up or designed for us to succeed. And so it's like, well, what does this look like and how do we make a thing a thing? And then how do we help other people make a thing and not tell them, you know, it has to be this way or that way, not give them these cookie cutter templates that worked when people were selling widgets, as I call them, like t-shirts or, you know, a traditional company. How do we do that? And so when it came down to this phase of life and this phase of the career, it was me choosing not to choose. And it was me embracing all the things and saying, this is possible. We just have to figure out what that looks like and create a thing.
I love that. I love how you're leaning into all of it. And I think that it's a powerful message for people listening to give that themselves permission to lean into that possibility of having it all and choosing it all, not just one thing,
Mm-hmm.
but having it all. It's kind of like when you go to like a nice buffet brunch or breakfast or something, and there's all the different possibilities. Instead of just having French toast, no, I want to have eggs. I want to have the waffles. I want to have all the things.
Exactly.
It's such an excitement in that freedom and that possibility, which seems to be the common thread of this whole conversation today, which is beautiful. So, say there's someone listening, they're multi
Mm-hmm.
passionate, they've been feeling the pressure to choose the one thing and go with it. And maybe by putting themselves in that box, they are dimming their light by doing so, right? They're censoring themselves, as you say. What are like 3 tangible steps that they can take to get out of that box and really lean into
Mm,
their true light and all the beautiful passions that they know that they have and share it with the world?
definitely. So I call it the ABCs to clarity. A is accept. You have to accept that you're different and it's okay. One of my favorite quotes is a Dr. Seuss quote, and it says, you have to be odd to be number one. And if you accept that about yourself and embrace that and stop worrying about what this person and that person will think of you. And I always say parents have made their path, they've made their choices, they've lived the life of their choices, and you should live the life of your choices. Accept that some of the ones you thought were going to be at the finish line with you won't be there, but the right people will be there. Accept people for who they show you that they are, and then expect that behavior from them, and stop wishing, hoping, and believing that they're going to just change or you're going to get the promotion because they see how hard you work and all of the cultural and societal things that you've been taught. If they don't work for you, accept that there is a new path. So that's A. And then B is believe, which honestly is the hardest thing for a lot of people. It is to truly believe that your wild idea can be reality. Believe in yourself. One of the examples I always give is the guy who created the pet rock. He basically just drew smiley faces on a rock and sold it to make people happy. And everyone told him that he was absolutely insane. And he made $1 million in like a week. And this is back in the 60s. So $1 million is a lot of money. Um, and even though he's gone on and he's no longer living, the pet rock is still for sale on Amazon Televisions were
Mhm.
not in every single home once upon a time. Cell phones didn't exist once upon a time. And now they're a staple in your household that people literally can't live without. And so the
Mhm.
person that created these things, people probably, not probably, they did think that they were absolutely insane. Accept that you're different. You can't be number one without being odd. Believe in yourself. Believe in your dream. Believe in this vision that you've been given. I've heard people say, well, if it was meant to be, it'll already exist. No, it's waiting on you. Believe. And then connect the dots from your past, present, and to the future that you want. And then connect with people that are going to help you get there. No question is a stupid question. Ask the questions. I went through a phase with another coach where she had the rejection project. That's what she called it. And you had to ask for things that you just expected to get a no. And the wild thing is, we got more yeses than we got nos. I was hosting a conference
Mm.
and I asked, would you donate 100 planners? And one company said no, one company said yes, just pay for shipping. So I saved like $4,000 and I literally expected a no. Someone pulled up to a window in the group and asked for Starbucks for free that day. They got a yes. So you have to believe, and then you have to go out and actually do the thing, ask, connect the dots, connect with people. And those are literally the 3 steps. They sound very simple, but they're very hard when you've been conditioned to live every day in a certain way and be humble and not boast, not brag, not ask, don't seem greedy, be grateful for what you, all of those things. When the world is literally your oyster, and I want you to go out and get it. So accept, believe, and connect.
I love that. What a beautiful journey that we went on in those steps. I felt like I was walking along there with you, and I definitely see how our methods resonate with different words, but very similar. Which I love the alignment when we connect people with people, and connecting with you today has been such a pleasure. If someone's listening and they're resonating with you and they're in your energy, what's the best way for them to connect with you to learn about everything you have going on in your world?
Yeah, so my website is the one stop shop. It's jateyajones.com. You can find all of my social media there, podcasts, blogs, services. I always say my playground is and um, LinkedIn and Instagram. And so you can DM me, you can message me. I do respond because one of my heart passions is to make sure that all multi passionates have the safe place and guidance to harness their superpower and make the world a better place. So, jateyajones.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on today, sharing your wisdom with us. Is there any final words you want to share before we wrap up today?
Yes, I definitely want to say reach out and ask. Ask for the things that you're going to get a no for and put you first so that if you're the best that you can be, everybody else will get the level that you hold yourself in high regard to. Because giving breadcrumbs is not fair to them or to you. So choose you and do you and be free to be.
I love that. Thank you so much again. It's been so much fun.
Thank
And
you.
definitely go and reach out to her. Go check out her website. We're going to leave all the links in the show notes or in this video. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time I'll upload a new video on Thursday. See you in the next one. Bye.